Hi everybody, my name is Ricardo. I'm back. I haven't been able to make a video in a long time. I forgot the email to my account, so I had to do some uh, detective work to get it back. So sorry about that. But uh, yeah, I've been out for like 6 months. I haven't been really able to talk about the fights that have taken place in the last 6 months, which have been some pretty big fights like Ward versus Kovalev, Santa Cruz versus Frampton, uh, Thurman versus Sean Porter, and yeah, I just want to talk about a couple of them, maybe just one for now in this video, just because of time. But the one I really want to talk about was Canelo versus Kahn. So I don't know if you guys remember the last video I made. I said that my prediction for that fight would be Canelo knocks out Kahn in the 6th round, which is what happened. So go me. But the reason I said that was because of just my ability to analyze both fighters pretty well. Canelo is a granite chinned Mexican fighter with good boxing technique. Not to say that Mexicans don't have good boxing technique. The ones that end up being all-time greats usually do, like Barrera, Morales, Chavez Senior, and all of them. What I'm trying to say is that Canelo doesn't box like the average Mexican fighter. He has a good stand-up, is a distance fighter. He's a boxer puncher kind of fighter, and not only does he have great technique, but he packs a powerful punch. I think like pound for pound, he's one of the hardest hitting Mexican fighters of all time. Now, Khan's assets are his technique, which is better than Canelo's. Let's admit that. Because for one, he was a silver medalist in the Olympics when he was only 17, and he beat the guy who beat him in the Olympics for the gold in like a later bout after the Olympics. So you could technically say he is a gold medalist. His number one asset is his speed, which is just obvious. That's what he's known for the most. Power wise, he has good power, but he hasn't had a legitimate knockout since like Zab Judah. And Zab is prime anyway, especially like years before the Kahn fight. So you match the two of them up, and you kind of try to tell like who's gonna get the better of who. It's kind of like rock beats paper, or paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper kind of thing. So you kind of try to tell like the audience why this guy has the upper hand over this guy. So the reason why I say Canelo has the ability to knock out Kahn in the 6th round, which is what happened, was because Canelo, even though I knew the first couple rounds would go to Kahn, because again, Kahn's a silver medalist in the Olympics. He's used to taking the first 3 rounds, outclassing his guy. And in the pros, it's different. So the first 3 rounds, everybody's got all that energy pent up, and they're used to, if they've gone through an extensive amateur career, to like having plenty of energy during those 3 rounds to do what they got to do and take the rounds. But Khan's the kind of fighter that he's so used to amateur style that he will outclass you for the first 3 rounds, but as the fight progresses, it gets more dangerous for him. He has a suspect chin, which means that if you touch him in the chin, well, if you punch him in the chin, there's a good chance you might hurt him. And not only that, because there's kind of like different aspects to having a weak chin. It's not only about will you go down if I hit you on the chin. It's about how well do you recuperate or recover. And Kahn not only has is susceptible to going down, like being knocked down by good shots to the chin, but he doesn't seem to recover well after them either. So examples are his first knockout loss, which was Brace Prescott. His Maidana fight, he got cracked later on in the fight in the late rounds, and he just wasn't able to get his feet underneath him. He survived, but had there been one more round, like say it was a 13 round fight, Kahn wouldn't have made it out on his feet. At least that's what I think. Another example, the Danny Garcia fight. Obviously, he got cracked and dropped like 4 times, I think, in total. And eventually, Kenny Bayless just had to call the fight, which was good. You know, it was a good call. And then finally, just what happened with the Canelo fight. Just what happened with that, you know. So I'm kind of like getting annoyed and pissed off at people trying to like tell me that Kahn has a good chin. What am I talking about? You're trying to preach to the choir. Like, not that I'm not trying to say like I have a bad chin, so I know what Khan's going through. No, um, I'm an amateur fighter, and I know I can tell when somebody has a suspect chin and what kind of style comes from that, you know. So the reason why Kahn isn't getting knocked out fight after fight after fight is because once more of his boxing technique. It's just when you're a Olympic medalist, your technique is some of the best in the world. So obviously you're gonna use your technique to avoid big punches, right? If your technique was shit, then you're gonna get caught more than Olympic fighter would, right? Say for instance, somebody like Orlando Salido. His technique's gotten a lot better. Let's just put that out there, but it's not up to par like with Khan's. And Salido's known for getting dropped a couple times before finally getting into his groove, and then like maybe winning like 70% of the fights. So the point I'm trying to make is when you have good technique, you have good footwork, you have good head movement, you got good blocking skills, you know, you can weather the storm, and the first couple rounds at least. And then as the fight progresses, you'll obviously get more tired, and then you're more susceptible to getting caught with some shots you shouldn't have gotten caught in the early rounds, which is what happens to Kahn, right? But the thing is, Kahn is very fucking arrogant, and what I mean by saying that is Kahn wants to prove to everybody he has a good chin, and what happened with him against Brace Prescott was just a fluke, right? So examples are when he went to war with Maidana. What are you doing going to war with Maidana? Maidana, he doesn't have like the skills that Kahn has in order for Kahn to even like have to fucking go through the fire to beat him for, you know? Maidana totally turned it into this kind of fight in the later rounds, and that's because Kahn just like got into the habit of taking shots straight. He didn't take a shot straight on the chin. It looked like he did. I promise you, he didn't. He took him on his gloves, and like they were glancing blows too. They might have just hit him, and he got hurt as well. But if it was straight on his chin, a Maidana punch would have laid Kahn out. And I'm not just basing that on like me having like a I don't know, like beef with Kahn, because I don't. But I just know based on what I've seen before, if anybody would have laid Kahn down with a straight chin shot, it would have been Maidana. But Kahn was able to avoid the big shots to his chin, and because of that, he was able to survive enough that Maidana's power diminished. He got more tired, so there wasn't enough pep behind his punch to really deliver that knockdown blow to Kahn, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so now here we have Canelo, right? And Canelo has good technique. He has very good technique. He's kind of flat-footed, but he gets the job done, and he has power. So he's a boxer puncher, and the dangerous thing about Canelo is if your skills aren't up to par with him, if it's not his technique that will get him the win via unanimous decision, it'll be his power that gets you out of there. Examples are what he did to Kirkland, what he did to Angulo. Yeah, got them out of there, right? And like I said, Kahn, I thought Kahn was going to win the early rounds, and he did. He absolutely did. He was winning the fight. Oh. I think he was winning like, sorry guys, I think he was winning like 5 rounds out of the 6 before the fight ended. Kahn took the first 5, and then maybe the 6th round, Canelo was winning that round slightly on body shots, but the whole fight was playing out just the way Canelo won. Um, his camp was saying our biggest asset is our power because we happen to know that Kahn can't take shots very well, and that makes complete sense. Like they analyzed Kahn, they know what his weaknesses are and what his strengths are, and they took into consideration his strengths. They said, all right, Kahn's strengths are his speed and technique. All right, the way we're gonna counter that is with timing. Timing beats speed, speed beats power, but timing beats speed, right? Rock, paper, scissors, once more. But Canelo's game plan behind the fight was what I thought it was going to be too. It was just going to be stalk Kahn around the ring. Sure, he's going to get his shots off, but that energy won't last. He's not going to have the same amount of energy in the beginning of the fight as he will in the middle, or even the end, or even the middle. Um, so the fight starts. Kahn's landing his shots. He's actually pretty fast too. He was actually faster than I thought he'd be, for the amount of weight he had to put on. A lot of people were like, complaining that this fight isn't fair. Kahn should have never taken it. He had to go up and weight so much out of his comfort zone. But relax, the guy did it on his own accord. He didn't have a gun to his head. He wanted to do it. And you know why he wanted to do it? It's because he waited so long for Mayweather to accept his challenge that he spent all those years not fighting at all. He just turned 30 like a couple months ago. When he fought Canelo, he was 29. So think of it like this. He's a guy that wanted to be #1 pound for pound best fighter in the world. Hasn't had a pay-per-view fight yet. He's about to turn 30, so he's about to leave his prime years and enter his next decade. And he still hasn't gotten a pay-per-view fight. So Mayweather just retired, right? Who's the next biggest name out there that he can fight for as much money as he can? Canelo. It just happens that Canelo's a weight division above him. So does he sacrifice the opportunity to make as much money as he can outside of Mayweather fighting him? No, of course not, right? Because he's about to turn 30. The more time he waits, the less chance he has of beating Canelo or any guy of that level. So he just made the obvious choice, the most practical choice, which was to take the next biggest fight, which was Canelo, and he decided to go up and wait. No one made him do it. It was smart, but he also knew what the consequences were if he were to lose. So ipso facto, right? Now, back to the fight. Yeah, Kahn was winning the fight. He was doing pretty well. Technique and speed were there. I was pretty impressed, like I said. Canelo's getting caught with some right hands. And, Canelo's got pretty good defense. For you to hit him flush like that, you've got skill. And Kahn has skill. I admit that. Kahn, he could have been #1 pound for pound fighter if he just sharpened up his professional habits, because it's not an amateur fight no more. It's a pro fight, and you're going through wars when your style is just the opposite of what that entails, meaning your technique is that you're in and out of combinations. You don't wait for your opponent to throw something back. The fact that Danny Garcia caught you with something was because you were slacking. You were too confident in your own ability. You had to get humbled. That's what happened. He had to get humbled, and after that, he started fighting the way he should have. He fought the way he should have against Devin Alexander. Algieri kind of kicked his ass a little bit, but he won that fight. He fought the way he should have against the Hispanic dude that kind of dropped him. I forget what his name was. I swear to God, I wish I knew. Other than that, he didn't fight at all that much. Waiting for Mayweather, like I said. Um, so Canelo was throwing body shots to slow Kahn down. I'm sorry, guys, but those body shots were doing their trick. Kahn was slowing down, and I started noticing something. The more he was slowing down, the more Canelo was unloading shots on him upstairs. So the more Canelo was able to headhunt. So that was looking bad for Kahn because I knew, man. I just knew. One shot from Canelo on Kahn's chin, Kahn's out. Out. So in comes the sixth round. In the middle of the sixth round, Kahn's kind of in the middle of the ring with Canelo, and Kahn's pumping like 3 fake jabs at Canelo, and Canelo throws a sneaky ass overhand right that lands on Kahn's chin. Out goes Kahn, out cold, and it sucked too because Kahn kind of got 2 concussions from that. One was the shot from Canelo, and the other one was how hard he hit his head on the canvas. Yeah. So I hope Kahn feels a lot better now. I hope he's not dealing with a big headache no more. Usually that's what happens when you get concussed, and that was definitely a major concussion. Props to Canelo for looking after Kahn after that knockout and sitting next to him just to make sure he was all right. I think that's good for the sport, you know, shows character and class. I want to talk about Andre Ward versus Kovalev next. That was one of my favorite fights I've ever seen. I have to end the video now just because I don't want it to go too long that I won't have enough time for my complete discussion on Kovalev Ward. I don't like to split videos in half. So tune in to the Kovalev Ward one and leave comments, guys, and subscribe because I happen to be a big, passionate fan of the sport and I tend to know what I'm talking about and I love getting into discussions. So leave comments, everybody. All right, guys, peace.